John Gilroy here. In 1958, Johnny Carson had a TV show called Who Do You Trust? Today, when it comes to AI, the question is, well, who do you trust? Hit the music, Manny. Welcome to the Federal Tech Podcast, the podcast that connects you to federal technology leaders. My name is John Gilroy, and I will be your moderator. Our guests today are Phoebe Nerdahl. She's Senior Director, U.S. Public Sector at a company called Snyk, S-N-Y-K. And her colleague is Syed, CISO, Snyk for Government. We are recording this at the AWS Public Summit in Washington, D.C. Yesterday, 26,000 people lined up to get in. Phoebe, did you come here yesterday?
I did.
Wow, it was crowded, wasn't it?
It was crowded.
It was pretty good.
But it was exciting.
Yeah. Say, did you listen to any interviews yesterday or go to any sessions?
I did not get a chance because we were too busy talking to customers. Lots of excitement.
Well, if you go to their website, it's very distinctive. SNYK. Is it .io, I think?
It is .io.
Yeah. You'll see a big dog.
Yes,
and
that's
Syed sitting in front of him, he's got a T-shirt with a big dog on it.
That's right.
So is this like a dog show, or what? Why a dog? What's the dog all about?
Well, the founder has a dog, and so, that became our mascot.
Huh.
And his name is Patch.
Yeah, and this isn't a fluffy dog. This is an attack dog or a protecting dog.
That's right.
And maybe the theory is it'll protect your data. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. So I think we're in Washington, D.C., and if you threw a stone, you'd hit a federal agency, and one of the hot topics there is protecting their data. And that's what I want to explore today. AWS, what's AWS got to do with Snyk? What's Snyk got to do with protecting data from the federal government? All kinds of topics with artificial intelligence. 2025 Google Cloud Technology Partner of the Year for Application Development, and yet an AWS show. So you work with multiple different companies. Is that right, Phoebe?
We do. We work with Google, AWS, and several other companies as well.
Yeah. What is different about AWS that you like, Syed?
So from my perspective, selfishly, we're using AWS for our Snyk for Government service. So it's very well integrated. And then we purposely chose that because AWS partnership, allows us to expand into the government space.
I went to several presentations yesterday, Phoebe, and a guy named Steve Schmidt was up on stage, and he emphasizes that, look, AI is not perfect. It makes mistakes. What you must do is learn from those mistakes and incorporate back in the model. So instead of what you call a smarty pants or know-it-all, AI doesn't know it all, and it's more of a circle. Is that right?
That's right.
It is. And if you think about it for public sector customers, it's even more critical. I feel like a lot of times from a technology modernization standpoint, we tell companies to move fast and fail fast. When public sector customers fail, their missions are so critical, they don't have the ability to do that. It could potentially cost lives. It could cost citizen service. So you need to build a framework of security around that modernization, including AI.
We're here near Capitol Hill, and in D.C. there's another hill. It's called Georgetown Hill.
Yes.
Little university there. There's a study that just came out of Georgetown, and it said that 50% of all AI-generated code is insecure.
That's right.
What do you think? High, low? You believe it?
I think that's a bit low.
Whoa.
It's likely a bit higher.
So how can someone working for a federal agency protect themselves against this kind of malicious code?
Well, there are all kinds of different opportunities to protect yourself. Now, specifically with Snyk, we just announced the Snyk AI Trust Platform, and it specifically targets our customers to protect themselves from all of these issues that exist within the AI environment.
So, Phoebe, what you're telling me is that it's a lot more dangerous than it looks, isn't it?
It is. It really is. But there's also this pressure to meet commercial standards for agencies as well. So they're kind of caught in between the how do I deliver citizen services in an effective way? How do I keep up with the pace of technology from a commercial standpoint? But then also, how do I do that securely also with the amount of legacy technology that they have too? So it's a really big cultural challenge today.
And then on top of that, deliver that service more efficiently.
Exactly.
That's it. So, Phoebe, I have a $10,000 question for you. This is my radio voice. $10,000 question here. I'm going to read a quote, and you tell me who said it, okay?
Oh,
$10,000 in cash. Here's the quote. AI should be welcomed, not feared. But it's up to us to help customers navigate this new world securely. That's a good one.
I'm going to say Peter McKay.
Peter McKay, winner, chicken dinner. Bring down a wheelbarrow full of cash for. That's exactly. I mean, we set up this Georgetown University study saying there's malicious code out there, and what Peter says is, guess what? We're going to figure out how to leverage what we can out of this tough situation. So this is the leadership from your company says, yes, it should be welcome, not feared. That's a brave statement, isn't it?
It is, but again, you're welcoming it with the right framework and guardrails, and that's what's critical.
So for guardrails, companies like Salesforce will say, hey, come with us. We're built-in guardrails, you don't have to worry about anything. So say, hey, what do you think about that? Or what about other situations in the federal government?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on your use case, right? I mean, Salesforce, absolutely. I mean, Salesforce for Gov is a rock-solid platform, but their use case is, different than other use cases like Snyk. We're in the business of securing code, securing applications, and making sure that that's done way ahead. Yeah, from a timeline perspective, rather than inefficiently doing it way after the fact, right? So it really depends on what the specific government use case really is.
The government is very interested in security, and I went to your website this morning, and they talked about AI security posture management. So what does Snyk mean by that?
So security posture management is a buzzword. Right? For us, again, I'd go back to what's the best place to make your application secure? To have secure coding, right? And if you can give that power to the developer, now your entire go-to-market and time to market is secure because the developer themselves are actually able to churn out secure code right off the bat. Right? And so your security team, like people like me, have to worry less about application security per se, but more about securing everything around the application because by default, we are helping customers have secure code right off the bat.
So Phoebe, I read a press release from your company this morning, and I read press releases from everyone. So I get up this morning and I saw a press release from Federal News Network, big dog in town here. And the headline news is 25% of the IRS tech force are gone. Just it, vamoose, gone.
Yeah.
And there's more people in the United States, and we have a deadline coming up next year. So what's the answer to that? How can you be fearless in that type of situation? So you have fewer people to do the same amount of work, and so you have to leverage automation, or you don't want to do expensive repeated coding, do you?
No, and you have to leverage automation in a, I would say, nuanced way, especially in public sector, again, because you don't want to uncouple the guardrails and the security of what you're doing in terms of dealing with that PII data, especially with IRS. I was actually talking to the IRS today on the floor, specifically about some of their AI initiatives, and it was really, really fascinating. And he brought up that because they are more analytical by nature, and a lot of their employees tend to be right-brained economists, right accountants, that their data is actually fairly clean. So they're able to leverage AI in a way that I would say not every agency is. So I think it entirely depends on the agency case. And then when you think about the scale of these organizations, they're larger than your JP Morgan Chases, right? They're larger than your Disneys. So you want to isolate how each facet of that organization is operating and look at it at the sub-agency level and recommend it from there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a Progressive insurance company in Ohio and they lose 25% of their IT staff, they're going to be hurting, or they're going to have to get a lot of overtime, or they have to do something, right? Say, I mean, you've been in situations like this. So you're desperate. You got to do something.
Absolutely, and your customers are actually demanding more and more and more all the time. They want everything on their fingertips 24 hours a day. So what do? Well, you make your developers more efficient by getting rid of your typical end-to-end, CI/CD pipeline where you develop code, then there's a QA team, they're QAing the code, they may find some problems, they throw it back to the developer fixes it and goes back into the QA team, but then maybe they didn't find other problems and goes further down and so on and so forth. Eventually it makes it to production. But guess what? It's likely bound to have security vulnerabilities and other things wrong with the code itself. What we're trying to do is automating that entire cycle by enabling the developer themselves to be more empowered by automating vulnerability scanning and then giving them tips and tricks to to really make that code not only more secure but more efficient, so that they can test by themselves in that very secure environment that they control, and then push it out. So now you've really made the entire end-to-end CI/CD pipeline more efficient and more secure. So guess what? Now you're able to do more with less.
You talked to them on the floor. I don't know if they told you that, but that's exactly what it's not just a catchphrase. It's really you have to do more with less because there's fewer people there.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So you're shifting all of these processes left.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Speaking of catchphrases, at your website, it talks about trust IE at full speed, huh? And I guess that's what it can do if you do it at the left part rather than afterwards.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's also a little bit of developer morale there. When you're losing your workforce, and I've been in DC for over 15 years, our public servants do what they do because they're passionate about the missions they support. You want to enable them from a technology standpoint to do their best job. So there is a little bit of a developer morale aspect to bringing your developers into your AppSec posture and arming them as security agents as well.
And that could also mean that it's not about reducing the number of developers you've got, but now your developers are actually able to create more stuff, which is more secure, and they're able to do it faster. So your time to market is a lot lower, a lot smaller than what it would have been without some of the automation and the tricks that we offer to our customers.
I like putting companies in boxes and the Gartner quadrant and this and everything fits nicely and it's black and white and everything else. But I like studies from Gartner too. And a recent study showed that 90% of enterprise software engineers are expected to use AI code assistance by 2028. Saeed, what could possibly go wrong? I mean, really? Well, you have to check it somehow.
Yeah, and like the proof is in the pudding. Like last year and earlier this year, you saw all kinds of news about people inadvertently, not maliciously, inadvertently sharing their intellectual property vis-a-vis their code with all these AI engines that were public. They were not secure. Right? That's just one problem with using AI engines, without all the right considerations. Now, we actually use AI ourselves, but we have put guardrails around our use of AI to develop our own code. But guess what? We are Snyk, so we're doing a bunch of Snyk on Snyk. We're using our own vulnerability management engine. We're using our own product to secure our product from a code perspective. So yeah, lots can go on wrong if you're not putting the right amount of guardrails, the right amount of verification, validation, and testing. But if you have automation in place, like we offer to our customers, you'll be a lot more efficient.
Saeed, your motto was a dog. And so I'm thinking about the dog, and I'm thinking about back of my mind. So what it is that you're eating your own dog food.
That's a very good point.
You are absolutely correct.
Or should you say you're drinking your own champagne or eating your own dog food, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like we just achieved our FedRAMP model authorization in April, and guess what? More than half of the controls we were able to take care of from a supply chain security perspective using Snyk.
Huh.
Yeah.
Mascot's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
If your mascot is a dog, and we eat our own dog food.
That's very true.
So I was just walking the floor yesterday and today in different booths, and you have a booth here.
Yep, you do.
And so I'm sure there are very knowledgeable people that will walk by a booth and classify a company a certain way. Anthropic, classify them one way. Booz Allen, classify them one way. And so would someone walk by your booth, Phoebe, and use this Gartner classification of static code analysis tools? Is that where you fit in? Is you a tool for that, or is it more than that?
It's more than that. So that is where our primary use case is. Again, we focus on the developer experience, bringing them into the fold and making them security champions in that. We also look at code, I would say, in a very broad way. So we see code as not just proprietary code or open source code, which we're obviously seeing more and more and more of as the workforce is being challenged in the public sector space when it comes to sharing those code repositories. But we can look at code from an infrastructure as code standpoint or hardened containers. So I would say that we fall on the CI/CD side of the DevSecOps loop because we're enabling developers to continue doing what you want them to do, which is develop, but we're ensuring that they do so securely. And I will also add, when you discussed leveraging AI-generated code and how to do that in a way that's going to be secure going forward. Imagine if the code that's recommended to your developers in the IDE has already been scanned for vulnerabilities, and you already know that that's safe to use. That's what Snyk does for our customers.
Yep. And then, so SAS, static code analysis being one, then there's dynamic code analysis. So we acquired a company a year and a half ago, right, called Probly, and we have launched that capability for our customers already. We also do, to Phoebe's point, container hardening, so we can scan containers, we can scan infrastructure as code, like Terraform code and all that stuff. So we're definitely way more than just static analysis.
My previous guest here is a guy named Greg, and he's written 24 books. And I was talking about go to 7-Eleven and just grab some people and ask them questions. And I'm sure if you went to 7-Eleven and grabbed the fifth person walking out of there, and they'd say, well, yeah, artificial intelligence, they have a library and they get the answer and they give you the... Well, what we're finding out is that some of these tools for artificial intelligence are being attacked. There's called prompt injections are attacking it. There's data poisoning. People are going after the LLMs. And so much as you'd like to believe everyone walking out of the 7-Eleven, I mean, just the fact that people give a presentation at AWS Summit doesn't mean that their data hasn't been attacked. So how can you be assured of that, Seed?
Yeah, so Snyk is in a very unique position to secure your application right off the bat, right? Because we're in the space of securing your code that your intellectual property that actually creates your application. So that's where we start securing your platform, your IP, right as someone is writing code. If they're using Snyk, their application is becoming secure because of our security engine itself. And if they're using our automation, if they're using our container scanning, right? So we're not only just securing code, we're also hardening the environment where the code is running vis-a-vis, Kubernetes containers and so on.
There's an NPR affiliate in town called WAMU, WMU, and I was a guest on there for 25 years doing live radio. And I was not allowed to use the S-bomb. They'd yank me. However, it's very important to the federal government right now, S-bomb, software bill of materials, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, so the software bill of materials may be like the consumer seal of approval or something, and so, but it may be attacked and it may be compromised. And so I imagine there's got to be some analysis that can be done with the S-bomb. Is it a real S-bomb? So your company can actually look at that and say, yes, you have a software bill of materials. Let us take a peek. But it can be attacked after it's approved, couldn't it?
Yes, it could, which is why we encourage customers to do continuous S-bomb monitoring.
There we go. I never thought of that. I thought it was a seal of approval and move on from there.
No, it's not. This cybersecurity is not a one and done type of situation, right? I mean, as a CISO for federal business for Snyk, I can say that. I mean, we have what we call continuous monitoring, right? So we're continuously scanning our environment, and we encourage our customers to build Snyk directly into some of their CI/CD tools, right? So that it's automatically launching scanning of different aspects and different assets automatically.
But wait a minute. We're in downtown Washington, D.C. I can walk into a building, and some of them will be LEED buildings, which means they use energy efficiently, right? And this little code I just pulled off the shelf, I've got an S-bomb on this, so it's fine, right?
It's a point-in-time approval. I mean, think about it. So to think of it that way, it's like FedRAMP, right? Yeah. The FedRAMP process requires us to attest to our controls that we have implemented annually. So it's not, we're FedRAMP authorized and now we're done. We don't have to worry about any of this. You have to be continued. All of these cybersecurity standards require you to attest to your controls and implementation of your security on an annual basis at a minimum, right? Similarly, if you apply that thought process to securing your code, which is your intellectual property, right? Why wouldn't you want to continuously ensure that your code is always secure? That's what we do at Snyk with our intellectual property, and we would encourage our customers to do the same.
So, Phoebe, do you have a library or vulnerabilities, or how do you know what to look for?
So Snyk is actually unique in this way. We have our own proprietary database that we've been building for years and years that's leveraged through our customers.
We've seen this before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That we've been building for quite some time, that we leverage in conjunction with open source information that's out there. So we have basically two resources that we leverage when it comes to prioritization and remediation, which enables us to deliver, I would say, a little bit more streamlined results, enables us to deliver faster and cleaner results with less false positives.
And that database, by the way, we have our own security research team that they go out and do all kinds of research and testing, and that's how we continue to maintain and expand that database.
I'm a big fan of words and studying words and trying to be funny with words. And I'm taking notes yesterday at a couple different talks, a couple software developers. And I remember back in the day when cloud was first introduced, then all of a sudden you see cloud native, then you see cloud native application security and it kind of was an appendage. Now I'm seeing AI, and now it's AI native.
Yes.
So now we see the appendage AI native, and some people call their product a AI native agentic platform. It's like, wow. I'm going to get some notes here, and I'm going to go to 7-Eleven, get a coffee, and come back and try to figure this out. And so is that your claim, that it's AI native? Is this we talk about for Snyk?
Well, so, for our own sake in the back end, so the point of our AI service is that we enable our customers to actually secure the way they use AI. Try to find vulnerabilities in their, the different AI engines that they're using, and help them put some guardrails around the way they're consuming AI to write code.
So the next phase of SBOM, AI bomb.
Yeah.
So, Phoebe, I'm asking you the $10,000. I'm going to be broke by the end of this interview. Another $10,000 question. I asked this to a software developer, I think 2 weeks ago. And I said, well, AI, does this stand for artificial intelligence or augmentative intelligence? Is it more augmentative, or should it be a stand-alone? When I interviewed Steve Schmidt this morning, he was unequivocal about, no stand-alone there. You're part of it. You have a human involved in the loop, and they're really part of it. So augmented intelligence or artificial intelligence?
I would say augmented. I would also say, when you were talking about the original launch of the cloud definition in government, we're seeing that with AI, where the definition right now of AI is really, really broad. And I think as we continue to evolve how government's going to leverage AI, we're going to really narrow in on some of those prescriptive words like augmented versus artificial. And I think you'll see that more and more as we go forward.
And it's also going to be dependent on the use cases, right?
Yeah.
The more specific use cases, the more used AI will be, right? Just like cloud, it was a buzzword for 5-10 years?
Yeah.
And people were scared of it, and they're, cloud is I'm gonna lose my job and all that stuff. No, it's about how you really create a use case that will help you become more efficient in the use of this new widget or new technology.
Well, 15 years ago, Vivek Kundra sat in front of me, pounded on the table, and said, cloud first, cloud for everything. And what people learned is that it might not be that easy. But today, if I sign up for Salesforce, I'm not going to talk to my wife and go, I have a cloud application I'm using. And say, no, I'm using Salesforce. It's not even they don't append that anymore, do they?
Right, no.
Maybe in 5 years from now, Phoebe's going to say, I'm using the Ronco. No, I'm using Ronco AI. No, I'm just using Ronco.
Exactly.
It's going to be incorporated, isn't it?
It is. And if you're, as a non-technologist, I leverage AI every day in my work. So if you're not using AI today in some way, you need to start just from a literacy standpoint overall. And that's my number one recommendation to government customers. But again, to Saeed's point, it completely depends on the use case. Are you using it for summarization? Are you using it for visuals, things of that nature? Versus, are you using it to try to secure your code? Then yes, there's a human intervention aspect to that needs to happen.
Yep. Yeah. And if people play around with like ChatGPT, Perplexity, they have to realize that ChatGPT is saving all those.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so you may not realize that, but you are the guinea pig. You are their database.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's part and parcel of it's good news and bad news. It's free. Well, guess what? If it's free, then you're the product.
Nothing is ever free.
You have to approach it kind of judiciously,
But cloud was kind of like that, right?
It was. Yeah, I remember that.
And people would post things in cloud environments that they shouldn't and get their hands slapped. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there, just like there is with any new technology.
Yeah. And I'm sure you could go down to the floor and have a debate over who's responsible there, Phoebe. Is the CSP responsible or am I responsible? For what? For access to and I think it's getting worked out. And maybe AI is going to help work out those responsibilities, and it's not going to be any more special AI.
I was going to say, in my job, I feel like it's always me who's responsible.
It's always going to be you.
It is. AI will help participate in that, what we call a responsibility matrix, but that responsibility matrix is always going to be there, right? We're responsible for some stuff. Customers are responsible for some stuff. If they're using AI, how are you going to hold the AI engine responsible for anything, right? No. So there's definitely going to be an enhancement or augmentation to that responsibility matrix.
And the human intervention piece of that is start with training for your employees, right? Start with those high-level guardrails on these are the AI tools that I want you to start looking at, and this is how we recommend them that you use them today in your work.
So here's my takeaway. I'm going to have T-shirts made up, and they're going to say, AI should be welcomed, not feared. Maybe have the dog in there somehow.
I would say it's
like
both.
Both of them, yeah.
With the right guardrails.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time here. If you'd like to get more information about Snyk, they have a webinar coming up called Mission Ready Application Security, Introducing Snyk for Government, and I'll put the link in the show notes to the event coming up. I'd like to thank our guests, Phoebe Nerdahl, Senior Director, U.S. Public Sector Snyk, and Saeed Syed, CISO for Snyk Federal